Autumn is upon us. It is such a special time of year here at our Mountain Homestead and Homeschool. It is one of the most busy and bustling times of the year for us, however. So in this video, I will be sharing kind of a busy working mom guide to autumn celebrations. I will also be doing some homemaking, and since we have been talking about the mental load on women lately and how to get things done with kids around, I thought I would share a few more practical ways that I've found to get things done with kids around 24/7. For those out there that are new here, hey, I'm Shayla. I'm an earthy mountain mama and a happy wife. I'm a homesteading and homeschooling mom to 6 wildlings with 30 years experience as a frugal homemaker. My husband and I are second generation homeschoolers, and we have been homeschooling our children from the start since around 2009. We have a big, Jesus-loving, God-fearing, musical family, and we love to laugh. In addition to homeschooling and homesteading, I bounce between usually having 1 to 2 part-time jobs. So in this video, I will be sharing kind of a busy working mom guide to autumn celebrations. I will also be doing some homemaking, and since we have been talking about the mental load on women lately and how to get things done with kids around, I thought I would share a few more practical ways that I've found to get things done with kids around 24/7. Autumn is always a bittersweet time of year for me. I love the feelings that come with autumn and the scents and that feeling of knowing the cold is coming soon, but it's not here yet, and we have a little bit of time to stow away all of our foods for the winter. I think it's just a fun time of year for that reason. But on the same hand, I always mourn the passing of another summer. Summertime, I think, is probably my favorite time of year. I love nothing more than being on the beach with my kids and just watching them all have a good time. And I love having a good time with them, just relaxing with no pressures, just watching the kids play. And every summer with our very last beach day, I always seem to know it's our last beach day. I always hope that we'll get one more in. There's always that last beach day where I know that summer will never come again, and my kids will never be that size again, and that we're getting 1 year closer to the kids starting to leave the nest one by one. And so for that reason, the ending of summer is always such a bittersweet feeling for me. I am exceedingly thankful for such a bountiful summer, though. Our garden did so well this year, and the kids had a breakthrough this year, I feel like. I think it was about halfway through the gardening season when suddenly all of the moans and groans about the morning chores and weedings kind of dissipated, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Most of this video is filmed on my kitchen days, which lately have been falling on Mondays. I like to have a good couple kitchen days a month at least, but during harvest, it's essential for us to have a couple a week, it seems like. Having kitchen days makes such a difference in our home. You guys, I wish you could smell our home right now. Warm, spicy, and sweet scents are consistently in the air from drying vegetables, herbs, and flowers. Pickling cukes are just filling the air. Salsas and baked goods are as well, and it smells just so nice. Since we have a bigger homeschool family and a sprouting homestead, I don't really find that I have time to do things like fall decorating. And actually, if I'm being honest, I haven't really had time to do fall decorating for a few years, even before the homestead, because homeschooling and keeping up with work and basic household needs, it seems to be all about I can manage well, especially when I'm working some part-time jobs. Last year, I was so inspired by all of the pretty fall decor that I saw other YouTubers doing, so I decided to give it another try. You might remember the video I did about a year ago with my fall chili recipe and I think my cinnamon rolls and fall decor. I will link to that below. But in that video, I tried to do some fall decorating, and I did, but I ended up regretting it because some of the decor, like the corn stalks on the front porch, sat out till spring, and it was just kind of embarrassing. Comment below and raise your hand if you're in a season of life where you can handle all the important spinning plates. But if one extra spinning plate gets thrown in, it causes you to drop a few others. That is where I'm at presently. For autumn, though, I have found that there are just a few little things that I'm already doing that I can add an autumn twist to. And it kind of helps me to just feel like I'm enjoying fall a little bit more. And it helps me to make the season a little bit more special and a little bit more celebratory for the family. So I will share some of those things today. Kind of like I said, a busy working mom guide to autumn celebrations. Lately, all of my time and energy has been going into homeschooling and bringing in the gardens. Harvesting and processing foods is such a blessing, but it is a lot of work.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin.
We have our main garden and our herb garden, and we have still been getting cucumbers, green beans, corn, cauliflower, dill, and cabbages, tomatoes, peppers, and I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting. So one of the biggest ways we like to celebrate fall is with food. Salsas, breads, sauerkrauts, and zucchini bread are some of our favorites, and another is cinnamon rolls, of course. And like I said, I'll link to that video below. But this year I added 2 more favorites, and it was just kind of a creative day in the kitchen when I came up with this. We have loads of carrots coming in from the garden. Maybe you guys saw the video I did last spring. I did a couple of videos talking about our rainbow carrots that we planted. I planted rainbow carrots because they're supposed to offer a wider variety of nutrition. The kids aren't really doing much. Why don't you guys come on in here and help me this out? Some of the carrots we love, some of them we don't love quite as much, like the white ones. Anyways, I came up with a chai white carrot cake recipe and a chai zucchini bread recipe. And oh my goodness, you guys, the chai feature makes these over the top. So to make the chai aspect or feature, I simply ground up some cardamom seeds and I added it to the recipe. You guys, it's so good. You've got to try it. I got my cardamom from Azure Standard. I'll link to them below. I have been getting a lot of comments here on this channel lately. You guys, I love all the comments that you leave. I don't always have the time to respond right away. Sometimes I will get up to around 20 to 50 within just a couple days. And I always try to respond or heart all of the comments, but when I get a whole lot at once, I'm not always able to. It will take me a few days to get back to everybody. I have been getting viewers though, from all over the world, from Kenya and other parts of Africa to all over Europe, including Oxford and Ireland, Finland. And then I've even got some of you watching from Australia. And I just really appreciate all of the lovely comments that everybody leaves. I want you guys to know how encouraged I am by the kind words and all of the thank yous. I got one sweet comment from a viewer in the Scottish Highlands, and I wanted to share the comment with you today. The viewer reminded me of a technique in bread making that I haven't used in a long time. It's really nice for making a good crust on the bread. And the comment is from Neil Monroe in Loch Ness, Scottish Highlands. And he said, "This is very informative and real. I trained as a chef, just a thought for raising dough and dough starter. In the trade, we put a tray of boiling water at the base of a cold oven to bring it to temperature to act as a proving oven. And for some breads, we cook with the tray of water still in place, creating steam in the oven as the bread cooks." See what you think. Kindness to you and your family from the Scottish Highlands. That was a fun comment to get. I just wanted to share this fun comment with all of you watching so you guys could try that trick. It is a fun trick to try, and it does make the crust extra special.
Feeling is all gone. If I could take you back to my youth, show you what I wish I knew. My will is strong with a place to lean. In the moment I hung desperately. The other ring on my wrist is gold, pairing with the light it holds. When I return from my skin and bones, I'm remembering the words you told me. Wait, hold on, put me together, take me back where I belong. I want it all.
I decided to get some new sourdough started. I like to upgrade my sourdough about once a year. The reason for this is because unhealthy bacteria can sneak its way into your sourdough starter over time. And so I like to change out my sourdough about once a year, just to assure I'm working with a healthy batch. I'm going to be using up all of my sourdough starter that I've been using for the past year. Once I have this new sourdough going strong and healthy, I decided this time to try San Francisco sourdough starter. I will link to where I get this in the description box below.
Feeling is all gone.
Speaking of loads coming in from the garden, if you are looking for a nice late summer or fall soup to make with all the garden potatoes, kale, and veggies, look up Zuppa Toscana copycat recipes. I have yet to try one of the copycat recipes that I did not like. I did try one time and they did not use garlic in it. So I would say if the recipe doesn't call for garlic, just be sure to add that. We often adapt the recipe for ourselves and we'll toss in random veggies from the garden that we have on hand, and it works out really well. I will say, if you have any kids on the spectrum, I do understand that there's no way that kids like that would touch a soup like Zuppa. I do have some neurodivergent kids, and so I do get that. A couple of my kids really don't like the amount of vegetables and the texture in the soup. And so one way I found around that is to blend a cup of it for them. Something I like to add to the soup is zucchini. But around half the family does not like zucchini unless it's in zucchini bread. I have a trick I discovered though for when making soups. And it's basically where you just take your vegetables and leave them in larger chunks so that the family members that don't like the larger chunks of whatever it is, or, like whatever the vegetable it is that they don't like, they can easily pick it out and save it aside for the other family members that do like those vegetables. Things like broccoli and carrots end up getting cooked into the soup too, and the nutrition gets dispersed into the broth. So by cooking your vegetables into a soup, it's a great way to sneak nutrition into picky eaters. You guys, check it out. I decided to invest in another cookbook. I couldn't decide between the Noma Guide to Fermentation and this book, so I decided to get them both, starting with this one. I still have to get the Noma Guide. I'm kind of spreading it out over a couple months. Speaking of fermenting, check out the new fermentation lids and the weights that I found. I really like the way that these worked. They take up less space in the drawers and they are a little bit more affordable. I ended up finding the weights for regular size jars, which was nice because I like using regular mouse-sized jars for fermentation instead, since the regular size jars are a little bit more affordable. And speaking of jars, we were getting nickeled and dimed on them this year. I have been canning so much and I ran out of jars about a month ago. I used to have a very large jar collection when we lived in the Midwest, but I did not want to move halfway across the country with a bunch of jars, so I gave most all of them away. And I've slowly been restocking since. We have been canning so much lately, though, that it's been getting kind of expensive. Every week, I've been needing to have my husband pick up a case or two for me. And I don't know about you, but I noticed that the price of jars went up this year. Did anybody else notice that? I finally decided to see if I could find some locally through secondhand groups. I wish I had done that sooner because I ended up scoring big time. So many local people had jars they wanted to get rid of. So if you need jars, I highly recommend going into local classified groups, either on Facebook or in the newspapers, and see if you can get them secondhand. One of my very dear friends, who actually brought me these lovely flowers that we have in this scene, was telling me that she finds her jars priced very low secondhand at estate sales. Look at all these jars I ended up scoring, though. I don't think I'll be needing to buy any anytime soon. Although I don't have time to decorate for fall, I do have a bin of fall decor. A few years back, I found this trick. I was running out of time to decorate for the holidays, and I realized something. I realized it would be a lot more fun for my kids if I turned the decorating fun over to them. This year, only the youngest kids were really looking forward to fall decorating, but it was kind of cute because as soon as we got the fall bin out, a couple of the older kids started getting into the fun fall vibes. And one of my teen boys admitted he really liked the white pumpkin. If you are looking for a good place to find cheap fall decor, you guys, I highly suggest hitting your local thrift stores before going anywhere else. You might not find exactly what you're looking for, but chances are you'll find things that you, or maybe even the kids, can add your own special touches to. It can become a super fun fall arts and crafts project for the kids to revamp some older items and make them look new. You can get safe paints for them to use and just let them have all kinds of fun. Since we're talking thrift stores, I do have a thrift store haul today. It's just a quick little haul. This isn't fall related, but hey, my dress is. I'll talk more about that in a second. But first, let me show you this little thrift store haul. It was fun. So my kids had been doing such a good job with the new autumn routine and with their school and getting done with the daily loads of school. And since they had been being so accountable and so self-motivated, I decided that I needed to reward them. And I took them thrift store shopping. And the day before the haul, one of my sons pointed out that we needed to get some more bowls. So it was crazy. At the thrift store, we ended up finding the kind that we really like for $4. And look at them. They're practically unused. These are a crate and barrel bowl, so I'm assuming they're probably going to be pretty good quality. I also found this white vase, and as soon as I saw it, I could just visualize my autumn flowers in it. I also found this canister, and I think these are just so pretty. And so I snagged it up because I have been eyeing these for probably 3 years now. All right, so about the dress, clothing is a great way to celebrate the seasons without making more work. I like to dress in autumn colors this time of year. I actually like to dress in autumn colors any time of year. Autumn colors are my favorite. I rarely ever buy dresses brand new, but I found this dress last month at Walmart, of all places, and I absolutely loved it. I have a yellow one I got last year, and so many of you have commented about it, wanting to know where I got it. So I was thrilled to see that they had them back this year and in other colors. They had a green one that I went back to get a month later, but they didn't have it anymore. Oh well, I'll just be happy with the yellow one, the orange one for now. On the note of clothing, check out this shirt. I've shown you guys these shirts before, but for the newcomers, I wanted to show them again. These are such well-made t-shirts. I like to customize them, so I like to do a different kind of a cut at the bottom, and then I like to roll the sleeves or cut them. I love these shirts though. They are made by a Homeschool mama, and I will link to her Etsy shop in the description box below. A couple other super simple ways to change things up and bring a fall vibe in without making extra work are in the little things, like switching out mugs or cups. And of course, to bring in scents. I picked up some fall candles that we have really been enjoying this year. There is just nothing like candles to make a home feel more warm and cozy and announce the arrival of fall. I especially love rainy days where I can light these things up. I do not use candles very often because I try to stay away from synthetic scents. These are supposed to be a little bit more healthy, but normally I like to stick with essential oils and diffusing. One of my favorite fall combinations to diffuse is cardamom, clove, cinnamon, and orange. It's a really nice combo, and another twist you can add is to add some sage to that. I also love Thieves. It's a great fall scent. With the garden coming in, I don't have time for fall cleaning like I used to. Once harvest is finished, I will be able to tackle that, but I am still, of course, doing the basic cleaning. And speaking of that, one thing I like to do this time of year is add those same essential oils to my homemade cleaners. I have a non-toxic cleaner that smells like fall that I have been using for around 10 years now. It only comes out to about $1.60 per quart, so it's super inexpensive and affordable. I will link to it below. I love adding a little bit of orange to it though in the fall and around Christmas to kind of spruce things up a bit. Let's talk for a second about one of the reasons it's so hard to get things done with kids around. I find that for myself, one of the reasons it's hard is because it's hard to focus on anything when the kids are around, but the kids. And if you can't focus, it's pretty hard to get anything done at all. I mean, let's face it, kids are distracting, and the more you have, the more distractions there are. I think this is why there are so many moms that stay up late at night. Once the kids are in bed, the distractions are down and focus can resume. I have never been very good at doing that though. Once the sun goes down, that's when I want to go down. I've never been a night person. So I had to figure out other ways to get things done with the kids around. And before I share that, I want to talk about a couple of the ways where kids can be distracting, because without examining that, it's kind of hard to provide solutions as far as counteracting that. There are many ways that kids are distracting, and one of the biggest ways is through and with noise. For example, even if the kids are not talking or asking questions, they might be doing activities that come with noise. Look up noise pollution. It's a real thing. I know there is a meme going around that says kids are not a distraction from the most important work. They are the most important work. And I agree with this. It is true. However, there is needed work that needs to be done when you have kids, which you know if you have them. And if you're homeschooling, there's even more work. And we're commanded by the Lord as Christians to teach our children. That is work too. How do you teach them anything unless you have had a moment to focus and think of something to teach them? Preparing food for the kids, that is a lot of work. It takes some focus. You have to plan. For homeschool parents, a little bit more on that. Educating the kids, it's work, and planning what to educate them is a lot of work. Children also need safe and sanitary homes. So, of course, there's a degree of cleaning that needs to be done, and that too is work. The problem is that unless you know what needs to be done in these areas, you won't be able to do them. Eventually, things start piling up a little bit or a lot, and it doesn't take long to feel like you are drowning. But even if they don't pile up, you can still end up feeling like you're drowning, just from all of the things happening around you all of the time. So how do you make that feeling go away? I do not have all the answers in this area, but I have figured out at least how to float, so to speak, I think. And here's one thing I figured out. If you're overworked and exhausted, your brain is not going to work very well at all. It's not going to work optimally. If you cannot have or find some clear focus moments, you won't be able to recognize priorities or be very effective in any of the things that you take on very well. So here's a common scenario. I'm thinking probably every mother has been here in this place. You wake up, and either the kids are already up or they're waking up shortly after you do. It's time to get breakfast rolling, and here comes the noise. Soon, a couple kids are bickering, and maybe you need to step in. By the time that's done, it's time to get dishes done. And by the time that's all done, maybe there's a toilet clogged or some other fire you have to go put out. Along the way, there's more parenting that you're doing, questions or problems the kids need help with, and eventually half the morning is gone, and you're starting to feel kind of unproductive, and you know there are things that need to be done, but your brain feels fried. It is not long before this becomes a vortex where you get sucked in, and you spend every day like this, just putting out fires and barely keeping up with meals alone. How do you get out? The way that I have found is rest and refocus. You have to find a way to hit that pause button and find firm ground again. Once you can find some rest, your focus can have a chance to return. And once your focus returns, you'll be able to see problem areas that are causing your days to be chaotic. Once you recognize those areas, you can then do something about it. You can find solutions to help navigate them. You'll also be able to create some goals and see what needs to be done with a little bit more clarity. At that point, I have found that for myself, it's really critical that I write down everything coming to mind that needs attention or problem solving. I've learned to never expect that I'm going to be able to hold all of that in my brain once the noise starts up again. All trying to do that will do is cause anxiety. So I like to do what's called a brain dump and write it all down. This is like creating a blueprint map that kind of shows my destination. In Proverbs 21:5, it says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes to poverty." I know that for myself, when I fail to make a plan and set goals, that the result is I feel like I spend the whole day racing hastily to put out fires. Sometimes it's nice and even helpful to have a spontaneous day where you don't have plans and you just go around and do what needs to be done. That kind of pops up. But it's not a great way of life. It's not like a good way to run things all of the time. And instead of taking control of the days, I find that the days and the kids' whims can kind of take control of you if you go that direction. So I find that some diligent planning when I'm in a restful state can go a very long ways. Proverbs 12:24 says, "The hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor." There's a balance though, and the thing is, you need to carve out time to rest, pray, and replenish on a regular basis so that your brain is functioning optimally to plan. So write it all down. And it helps to write it down in a place where the writing won't get turned into an art project or lost. On that note, I have a little bit of an announcement. I'm excited to announce that I am collaborating together with somebody, and we are working on an ultimate homeschool planner. It's the ultimate homeschool homemaking mom planner. I will be telling you more about it as we start putting the finishing touches on, but just stay tuned for information, you guys. This is going to be the planner of planners for moms who are homeschooling and managing a home. But it's also going to have optional sections for homeschool moms that work. And a lot of the sections are going to be optional for those that want to make it more complex or keep it simple. You don't have to print all the pages. You can only print what you want. You're going to want to follow me, so hit that subscribe button and check in regularly for when that's released. We do hope to have it ready in time for the new year. My husband's working on the house today. You can hear him hammering. I really hope it doesn't end up being too distracting for you guys because I need to get this filmed and he needs to get the siding on. So that's just life when you have a house that you're still working on as you're living in it. In my last video, I talked about how there was a mom wondering how I get things done with kids around all the time. So I wanted to just talk a little bit more about that today and give a couple more ideas that I have, since we're on this topic of kids, on how to get things done with, how I get things done with kids around. Super simple. This is probably going to take about 30 seconds to explain. That's it. It's that simple. The biggest tip that I have for getting things done with the kids around is when they're not doing school, when they're there and they're around, just involve them in what you're doing. When you involve them, you will probably be met with some resistance because they would rather be, playing video games or watching TV. But keep working with them. Keep working with making a connection with them. Keep working on creating memories and what I like to call tying heartstrings. I just really love that phrase, tying heartstrings. So make memories while you're doing this, and eventually the kids will want to be with you, working with you, because it's an enjoyable experience. You might still have to call them in. I mean, they all might not volunteer, but if you are met with that resistance, keep working on it, keep working with your kids, keep tying heartstrings and making memories with them and building relationships with them. And one of the greatest ways that I know of to do that is to involve them with what you're doing.
Do you know I'm looking, and I can't help but smile? Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on.
Is it just me, or are the Christmas decorations making an earlier appearance in stores this year? And does that bug anyone besides me? Since we have had such a whirlwind year with our move back in May, and since the whole year was about a month late with seasons, I'm finding that I don't even want to go there with even thinking about Christmas yet. I do know it's coming, and I have started my Christmas shopping. I learned a few years back that with as many kids as we have, there's no such thing as too early when it comes to getting started with the Christmas shopping. I still want to savor fall for a little while before even thinking too much about all the Christmas decor. After all, we haven't even had Thanksgiving yet. One of the reasons I'm stepping up my game on fall decorating this year is because I am delighted to be hosting Thanksgiving this year in our new home for some of our family members. I've been menu planning away. My husband's going to be making a brisket for Thanksgiving, and the kids and I are going to make pies and other Thanksgiving goodies. Since we have homegrown red potatoes, I'll probably make rosemary garlic roasted potatoes and probably some herby sourdough focaccia. Let me know if you would like any of those recipes in time for Christmas. Speaking of recipes, last weekend we went to some of my oldest friends' home and they hosted a cider party and a chili cook-off. I brought my vegetarian chili and was actually not even going to enter it because I didn't feel like it was that good. But I'm not a very good judge when it comes to chili because I'm not a chili fan. Chili is one of my most favorite meals to make for my family because they all love it, but it's my least favorite meal to eat. I guess I must just be a really bad chili connoisseur though, because I forgot to tell my friend that I didn't think the chili was very good and I didn't want it entered, and she entered it and I won first place. Oh my gosh, I was so shocked I didn't know what to do or how to behave. I was so confused and in disbelief when they called my name. After I came home and the initial shock wore off, I asked you guys if you would like the recipe, and 95% of 41 voters in my community tab said they would like that recipe. But first, before I dive into that recipe, let's take a look at some of the fall decorating festivities. As a homeschool mama, I haven't had time to really decorate for fall in years, but a couple of years back I learned that I could designate the fun fall decorating festivities to my kids. And I learned that this is actually a lot more fun for them. One year, the kids made the cutest fall leaf art and beautiful fall crowns. They did need my help with the crowns, but those are just a couple fun and creative yet affordable ideas that you can do among many. The year we did that, we also went to the pumpkin patch and corn maze, although that was a lot of fun and definitely worth doing again. It was expensive for our bigger family. This year we are most certainly watching our expenses since we have so much work to do on our home still, and also because of how the economy is. I have been dreaming up ways to decorate beautifully while using what we already have. Since we have moved and live in the mountains now, we have some really beautiful and unique decorating materials growing naturally that we can work with. I think we found some pretty special ideas almost anyone can do that has access to a forest area or park. Of course, you can do things like leaf art and affordable crafts. You can also use items from a simple nature walk. Just make sure there's no critters on them when you bring them into the house though. So we actually had some corn from our garden growing and we decided to dress up the front of our home with it. We still have so much work to do on our front porch, so I didn't spend too much time trying to dress it up. But I did do the best I could with what we have, and I think it looks okay, especially with all that firewood stocked up to keep us warm. I know it's not the most Pinteresty scene, but it does make me happy and it is cozy. One of my favorite things to use for fall decor though is pumpkins, apples, and fruit produce from the garden, because once we're done using them, we can eat them. Us big family mamas on budgets appreciate things like that. I had a lot of fun decorating our wood cook stove over here too. I just love this stove. Oh, the white pumpkins with the black stove. I love it. We've only used this stove one time so far. We're going to need to use it again soon, but I think I probably have a couple weeks where we can just use the stove downstairs. And I have at least a couple weeks before we probably need to fire this one up for good. In the meantime, this is what it's gonna look like. I think it looks nice. So hey, let's dive into that chili recipe that I have for you today. As you can see, our kitchen is still under construction. We've been remodeling it and putting in the new kitchen almost since we moved in. The cabinets have all been installed. They're crafts-made cabinets that we got from my brother, who is a consultant, and they are just wonderful. I can't believe how much storage space I have now in these. Anyways, the cabinets are all installed. Now we just have to get the countertops put in. Hopefully they will be in before Thanksgiving. Right now we definitely have a hodgepodge countertop situation. We have 4 different countertops that are just kind of tacked into place for the time being so that I have a surface to cook on. I'm actually no stranger to a hodgepodge kitchen though. For most of my motherhood and homemaking life for 18 years, for most of that, I have had hodgepodge kitchens. I found this recipe initially in a cookbook called Sundays at Moosewood Restaurant. I will link to that cookbook below. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a family that enjoys getting your culture by eating around the world, so to speak. I stopped following the recipe around 10 years ago though and started going off of memory. Eventually I started adding this and that, and I have now strayed what I know is almost unrecognizably far from the original recipe. So I'm going to share my rendition of the recipe with you today, but I still recommend getting that cookbook so you can make the original and for the other recipes in the cookbook. You're going to want to start with 2 quarts of beans. You can use any bean. For the prize-winning chili, you want black beans though. I used all of my black beans for that prize-winning chili and I'm all out. So today I'm using red beans. I like to soak my beans for at least 24 hours before cooking with them. After they have soaked, simply strain them and cook them. I like to use the Instant Pot, but I found that when I do, I need to use 1 cup less beans because 8 cups doesn't fit in the Instant Pot. The Instant Pot does make the creamiest beans. If you're doubling the recipe, you'll want to do this on the stove though. While the beans are cooking, you do not want to add vinegar or more than a very small pinch of salt because those things can stop the beans cooking process and make the skins and the beans really tough. Once the beans are cooked, I like to add around 1 gallon of water. You can add more or less. You can use vegetable broth too. Next, add a whole clove of garlic and about 3 onions that have been chopped and sauteed. Chili powder, and about 1/4 cup of cumin. Next, I add 3 6-ounce cans of tomato paste. And then I add a 32-ounce jar of green chilies. I like the 505 brand. I like to add around 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar and about 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, plus the juice from about 3 limes. I like to put this in at the end. You do not have to add these next 3 ingredients, but I highly recommend that you do. They definitely give the chili an extra kick. I like to add around 2 to 3 cups of diced tomatillos and a whole handful or bunch of cilantro. And I know that a lot of people can't stand cilantro. Some people love it, some people hate it. But the thing about cilantro leaves are that once you cook them, the flavor profile does change. And even cilantro haters won't know what's in there. Something I should probably tell you about this chili is that it is not for the faint of heart. Our whole family likes spice. Me and about half of my children like it pretty spicy. My husband and the other half of the children like it less spicy, but still spicy. Something I forgot to mention to add to the soup is salt to taste. I love Celtic salt for this. Celtic salt is one of my favorite salts to use. I think it just has a special flavor. I will have this recipe and a printable version for you on my blog. I will link to that below for you. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. In this video, we are going to be creating autumn beauty. I'm going to share with you guys 5 ways to slow down and savor autumn beauty for busy moms using the 5 senses trick, which I'll talk more about in a moment. This will be a 2-part series. In this video, we're going to focus on creating beauty and noticing beauty that you can see and feel. I'll show you some of the beautiful thrifted autumn finds that I scored at our thrift store. I've got a surprise. I did a kitchen makeover. So I thought that we would do some cozy fall kitchen decorating, but that is far from all. I have some feel-good fall inspo for you, including some really nice recipes to try. I'm a bigger family mama with a farm and I home educate my children, plus I have a part-time job. And I've been asked how I get things done, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And I've got a couple new dresses to show you guys. I also got some girl talk. I've been asked about my skincare, my makeup routine, the supplements I take, lipsticks, and nail polish are my kryptonite. My girl power kryptonite, y'all. This stuff, guys, this is it. So stick through to the end for all of the autumn feels inspiration. I want you to think about something for a moment. God created the seasons. He created so much beauty in each one of them. When you consider just a few of the intricate details in each and every season, it's truly awe-inspiring. Ask yourself this: why would he have gone through all of the attention to the details if he didn't want us to notice them? Romans 1:20 reads, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have clearly been seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without an excuse." Little guy. It seems to me that the seasons are something God created that he wanted us to truly savor and to find pleasure in. There are so many things to notice this time of year that just have a different beauty about them. I always notice around September the light shines a little differently through the trees. Colors that start to pour forth are some of my very favorite colors. I love all the warm colors, yellows, reds, oranges. A lot of mornings there's an extra crisp chill in the air. And of course, my very favorite thing of all are the foods that are pouring in from the garden. It's strange how bringing in food from the garden and preparing it for the winter ahead and the future brings a feeling of nostalgia and just feels relic somehow. There's just something so earthy yet freeing about it. But alas, you're a very busy mom, and the last thing you need is one more thing to do. I get it. The coming of autumn for me is a time that for the past several years has brought quite the hefty to-do list. For the last several years, it's been really difficult to soak in the beautiful sides of homemaking. Ever since I reached the stage where my older kids started entering and now graduating high school, there has just been a shift in my spirit, a sense of urgency, priority, and attention to final details as I finish off graduating and trying to point my older children in the right directions, and as I pray, they stay on the path of walking with the Lord. This year, though, I really wanted to find a way to, of course, cover my responsibilities, but also truly savor the season. It is going to take intention on my part, but I would really like to be able to do this. So, as I was considering how I was going to do this, I remembered the 5 senses trick that I told you about in a previous video. So I sat down and I figured out ways using the 5 senses to soak in some of the goodness of autumn. Right now, I am working part-time, managing our home, our homestead, parenting 6 kids total, and home educating 5 of them. My oldest just graduated. Things like creating autumn beauty, I'm so out of practice because things like this have been so far off my radar and priority list for so long that I only vaguely remember a time when this season was approached with wonder and excitement. But I think I came up with a good plan. So I'm going to focus on ways to use taste, smell, the sense of touch or feeling, and also feeling peace internally. I'm going to focus on things that we can see that will help us enjoy the season, of course. And lastly, things that we can hear. And this is the whole process of using the 5 senses to truly soak in and be in the moment. Have you ever thought about how in the Bible there are so many verses that encourage us to focus on the present? Some verses that help calm my spirit when the things like the autumn to-do lists feel so heavy that it can be hard to enjoy life, include the following verses. Matthew 6:34. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So let's focus on some ways we can use the senses of sight and feelings to help us enjoy and live in the moment this autumn. Of course, the first one is with feel-good comfort foods like this recipe that will be up on the blog, my black beans with rice and chimichurri sauce. We'll get more into foods in part 2 in this series though. Another way is to just spruce up your spaces with fall decorations. Now, if you just had a baby, I recommend you ignore this tip. Otherwise, the decorations are likely to be up all the way into next spring. So this is gonna definitely depend on the phase of life that you're in and the stage you're in, or this season, should I say. A couple tips that I have are don't break the bank. You can find lovely fall decor secondhand thrifted, and that's what I did. This is my little autumn box. As you can see, I have very little when it comes to fall decor. This is it, all that you see in this box here. And I honestly do not know that I paid more than $20 over the course of probably 8 to 9 years for everything in this box. If you're on a really tight budget, you can literally go out into nature and get things that you find from outside. And I showed you guys how to do that, or how I did that last year in my autumn video, which I'll link to below. A third little trick. This is one you can use for every season. You can usually find mugs pretty cheap. At least I did. Mugs are a great way to accentuate holiday seasons, and you need them anyway, so it's not like they're clutter taking up space. My May decor, of course, is garden produce and the flowers from the garden. Maybe you guys saw my boho kitchen tour where I got my new island. I think it was that video I talked about how I left the island a little bit larger than what is customary, and I did that for a few reasons. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really glad I left the island bigger because I need it for all of this harvest. The kitchen and my island is starting to get full with all kinds of harvest goodies from the garden. Harvest has been late this year, but I'm glad to have one at all. A lot of people that I know don't really have one because their gardens weren't worth keeping through all of the crazy weather this last summer. Okay, so decorating, even if it's minimally, even if it's only with the harvest items that I'm pulling in from outside, like these hops, just the sight and feel of things like this. If you stop and soak it in and see the beauty and feel the gratitude, this can really help you feel like celebrating fall. There's one more thing that helps me feel like celebrating seasons, and it's changing up my nails and wearing colors that represent the season. Of course, you will find me in oranges and rusts and mustard all through the year because I absolutely love those colors. Always feels a little bit more in place wearing them in the autumn season though. I usually always get my dresses secondhand. Lately, I have been loving ThredUp. ThredUp is a massive online resource for clothing. They are debatably a sustainable company where I've been finding super affordable and even brand name clothing. I'll share a link below where you can get 45% off your first order plus free shipping and a $40 credit when your order ships. Here is another secondhand score dress. I got it for just a few bucks and it is practically brand new. Definitely in new condition. It's an Old Navy brand, I believe. It's slightly big, but it will be nice to wear different clothing underneath for layering, especially through the cold winter months. So it's not going to be just an autumn dress. Since we're talking about feelings, let's talk about feeling organized. I know a lot of people out there like to do a fall cleaning, as do I, but in this busy season of life, I don't get to do quite as thorough of a fall cleaning as what I used to do back when I only had a couple kids and when they were all really little. I did film a fall cleaning video for you guys. In that video, I'm sharing some areas I like to focus on when I am strapped for time. A couple additional things that I like to do with our fall cleaning time though is I love to get the blankets cleaned and on the line. There's just nothing like going into winter with really clean blankets.
Just gallivanting through the forest here with my laundry.
Another area that I like to get organized as we're going into the autumn season and the winter season is the pantries. I really like to know what I'm going into winter with food-wise, and I like to have a few things stocked because, well, we live on a mountain and sometimes I do get snowed in. Third area I like to get organized in, starting now, is I have a larger family and Christmas seems like a long ways away, but it really isn't. So I like to start shopping and getting Christmas presents early so that it's not one big expense all at once in December or in November. If you're having trouble getting organized and getting your whole family on the same page, I highly suggest getting just a home management binder. This is a little A5 size, I think we call it. You can do a big one, I prefer that, but these are really pretty. They're not unattractive to have laying around the house, and they were affordable, very affordable. I will link to them below. But what I like to do is I like to have a daily cleaning list here. I have an upstairs cleaning and a downstairs cleaning because we have an upstairs and a downstairs, but basically, essentially the point is make a list of all of the house cleaning activities that need to be done on whatever basis you like to do them, whether it's weekly or monthly. Have the running checklist in here in a binder where the whole family can go and get it. So once I started this, we started getting the upper and the lower floors of our home cleaned in a couple hours. Before, it used to take half the day because people would be like, well, you know, I don't really know what to do. You would think after the family as a whole group cleaning the house for, you know, like 6 years together, eventually they would get it, but they don't. So, okay. So that's where this comes into play. Once I did this and I wrote down all the things that need to be done on the top floor, all the things that need to be done on the bottom floor, kids, everybody just tackles this. They come get it. They pick whatever they want to do from the list and they go do it. And we get done in like 2 hours, and then they have the rest of the weekend. Because we started doing this on Saturday, so then they have the rest of the weekend or the day for free time and fun time. This helps me to feel just a whole lot less frazzled and more like the things that need to be done are done, and they were done with way less chaos and a lot more peace. And another way that I like to feel organized is with this. This is my planner. I want to talk to you about undated planners because I know a lot of people say that they don't know how to utilize a planner as a stay-at-home mom or homemaker. This is where undated planners, I feel like, come into play. Throughout my homemaking journey, there will be weeks when I'm better about planning and weeks when I'm not. And I just really can't stand it when there's a whole section of the planner, or sometimes like a whole month, where I didn't really get to sit down and do very much goal setting or planning. Sometimes I'm able to get a lot done just by, you know, going by the seat of my pants. But generally speaking, I get a lot more done when I have some set goals that have been written down. And always, I feel better and more organized when I have written down and gotten everything out of my head that is bogging me down or that is just overwhelming my brain. This is a planner that I worked with a designer to create. It's actually got a section called a brain dump section where you can just get everything out of your head that gets flying through your mind, everything that you're constantly going, oh, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that. I've got a spot where you can just write it, like a running list. You can take that paper out and you can put it on the next month if you didn't get it all done that previous month. My planner has all kinds of customizable little sections that you can use however you want. You do have to write the dates in. And the reason that I did that is so that you wouldn't have weeks and weeks where there's a date written in and you forgot to do any planning, or you didn't have time to do planning, or you just simply didn't plan for that week. You can just reuse those pages. They don't go bad, they don't expire like a dated planner does. Wanted to show you guys this. This is a calendula oil infusion. So as we go into the fall months and then the winter months, dry skin. And I like making my own lotions and infusions. So I have a whole video coming out soon, or maybe it will have already been published, I'm not sure, but it's going to be out soon if it's not already. And in it, I'll show you guys how I make all of the lotions. And one of my favorite things is the lotion bar. It's hard to enjoy any season at all if you don't feel good, or if you feel like you don't look good. Since we're talking about the senses of sight and feelings, I thought this would be the perfect time to answer a couple more subscriber questions. I have been asked about my makeup and skincare routine. I've had a few people comment on my lipsticks. I love Southern Magnolia mineral lipsticks, so I've got a couple of them here, and I love the natural colors that they are. Okay, so this is, I think, plum, winterberry here. What I love about their lipsticks is that they're really creamy, they're long lasting, and they don't dry your lips out. Another thing that is nice about them is the colors. They go with so many different skin tones. And I think that that's kind of normal for mineral makeup. Some other colors that you'll see me wear in some of my videos though are the matte red. It is drying. I don't recommend it as highly as I do the other ones that are vitamin E infused. Another color that I love is the apricot. I lost it. I lost my apricot lipstick. I can't find it anywhere. Nob Hill Red is a fun one, especially around Christmas time. I also love the Perfect Plum and I'm looking at my phone, the Plum Wine. Ultimately Lavender is another favorite. And of course, lastly, the Winterberry that I just showed you guys. As you can tell, I have a little bit of a thing for lipsticks and nail polish. I don't wear mascara very often, and the reason why is because I have a Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, and I get really puffy under my eyes and over my eyes sometimes, and so if I wear mascara, it oftentimes, especially in videos, it seems like it always happens in videos, but it will turn black under my eyes, so I don't wear it very often. But I do wear eyeliner, and I wear it above my eyes. There's all kinds of tutorials and reasons why you should wear it above your eyes instead of below, and there's different techniques for wearing it below your eyes. I highly recommend looking up tutorials and videos specific to your age. Colors and techniques for applying makeup in my 20s were very different from the way I needed to start applying makeup in my 30s, and then it changed again in the 40s. I'm sure it'll change again each decade that I age. But as your face matures and ages, you'll find that things that used to work like 5 years prior don't work anymore. And I find it is around 5 to 8 years, every 5 to 8 years, something changes and I need to adjust the way I wear makeup. And as far as skin creams, I have a new skin cream that I honestly cannot highly recommend enough. And here's the best part. There are 0 questionable ingredients in it. It is completely natural, non-toxic, and I know all of this because I made it. You guys, this stuff and the smell, oh my gosh, the smell. It's roses. Oh, it's lovely. Okay, I made this. I will be sharing the recipe in that video that I was just telling you guys about. So if you want to know how I made this, you're going to want to look for this video coming out. I will link to it in the cards. This is the video you want to look for, you guys. I changed the cover on that, the thumbnail, to a thumbnail that actually has my face in it, because it seems like when I do a thumbnail like that, nobody clicks on it, but if it's got my face, everybody clicks on it for some reason. I don't get that, but okay. My skin has never loved a lotion. I was using some that were more expensive. Like, I bit the bullet and I bought one of those $40 face creams where you get just, you know, like a little bit. I bought it. I wasn't a fan. I'd been using it for probably 2 or 3 months and I was not a fan. I've honestly been looking for a good skin cream for about 1 year to 2 years now, because I loved the Face Me, but I didn't like having to order it all the time. Face Me is a great brand if you don't want to make your own. I love the Face Me products. I have never found a cream that works as well as this, and it is not breaking my skin out, so it's non-comedogenic. Is that the right word? I think. It smells great. My skin is just absolutely hasn't looked this good over 1 year. This stuff, guys, this is it. This is it. This is it. All right, and then because I know that some people are also going to be asking about what I use for my hair, I've been loving the Shea Moisture Frizz-Free Curl Mousse lately. So my hair, well, let me just put it this way. My dad had an afro back when afros were popular, but he didn't go get it done. He naturally had afro hair. And that is what my hair does. With the thyroid issues and the Hashimoto's, I've been losing a lot of hair, but if I were to like comb out my hair, you would never know because it would be like poof. Anyways, this stuff helps tame the curls and hold them more tightly. And this has been my absolute favorite #1 hair product in ages, or for ages. I've been looking for something for so long, and this has been my favorite. Oh, okay. No parabens, no phthalates, no phthalates. No mineral oil, no animal testing, no petroleum. Okay, so there may be alcohol in it. I don't know, but it works. It works really good. I honestly did not think that my hair was healthy anymore. I thought that because I'm going through perimenopause, I thought that I lost the shine. I thought that I lost just healthy hair. And I didn't realize it was just a lot of the products I was using that were not suiting my hair. And I love that with this, it's just one product. That's all I have to put on after I get out of the shower. So I get out of the shower, my hair's sopping wet. I don't really dry it very much. I just squeeze a little bit of the moisture out, put that stuff on. It gives me really together, nice, gorgeous, bouncy, shiny curls. Lipsticks and nail polish are my kryptonite. My girl power kryptonite, y'all. But I will say one thing about the nail polish. When you're a homemaker and your hands are in dishwater constantly, it wears your nails out and it breaks them down until they're very thin eventually. Some people have more issues with that than others. I have issues with it. If I don't put something on my nails, I would probably have no nails in like 6 months time because my nails get super bendy anyways, and they've always been super bendy. So they break and they chip and they shred and they peel. So if I don't put anything on them, it becomes quite painful. The nail polish isn't just vanity reasons. It's actually got a purpose to it. The lipstick, yeah, that's just vanity. I've also been asked about my supplement routine. I don't know at what age supplements start to become more important. Maybe definitely by the age 40 mark, but I think it actually started more like when I was around 33 to 35. I started noticing a difference when I would take certain supplements. So today I will also show you some supplements that have been some of my favorite women's supplements to help me feel good and especially feel good through the winter months. D3 Women's Multivitamin Lysine. I also take selenium for my thyroid. I've got magnesium glycinate, Cal Mag Blend back here. I have a beautiful hair and nails from As Your Standard B12, enzymes, liver and colon support here, digest and cleanse. This is one I started taking at night. I notice a big difference. This I feel like helps support happier moods. So those are just a few of the supplements that I take that make a really big difference. It seems like a lot. I know it really seems like a lot, but they make the difference between me being able to function. Oh, got really bright all of a sudden. Being able to function. Just like, okay, between being able to function and not feeling like I can function optimally. When I am not taking my supplements, there is such a noticeable difference that honestly, when I'm not taking them, I feel like I've got brain fog. I have zero energy and I am moodier. That isn't even all of the supplements. I've got more. You can see this is my herb shelf behind me. I've got some herbs that I take as well. Now, a lot of these teas are just pleasure teas like peppermint, chamomile, things like that are just enjoyable to drink, but there are some that are more targeted. I definitely highly recommend finding a functional naturopathic doctor that is versed in more holistic methods, especially as you start to go through the change. All right, maybe some of you saw a while back I was debating on whether or not to whitewash one of the walls in the kitchen. One of the reasons was it's just so much wood. I mean, this is a log house and it's just, solid wood wall to wall in so many areas. I was pretty crazy about the log wood walls in the kitchen and I really did love the look, but I felt like white might help really brighten up the back wall and just kind of give the kitchen a little bit more of a clean feeling. And I was right. I was glad I did it. So I used about 4 cups of water and 2 cups of paint. And I used this coconut color paint from Walmart. We just started back to school. Terrarium.
You can make your own kind of ecosystem.
Wait a minute. Are you planning on putting snakes in it?
No. Oh, well,
I don't want snakes in the house. I don't want snakes in a terrarium tank in the house.
I know.
So there's a little peek into the world of homeschooling for sons. I do have daughters as well, but they don't request things like containers to hold snakes inside the house. Whitewashing this wall did not take long at all. I was able to get it done after lessons. Now comes the fun part, putting everything back in place. And here is the after. I am literally appalled at how much cleaner it makes the kitchen feel and look. And I really love how it brightened up that side of the room. This last chapter is for the home educating parents out there, especially those that are feeling overwhelmed with the season starting. I'm a second generation home education parent, and I've been at this for 15 years. We prefer year-round homeschooling with only about a month off in the summer. During that month, we still do some reading and a little math. This makes it easier to get back into the regular routines. But in addition to that, we also like to ease into a new homeschool year. We started early around the first week of August with just some gentle schooling in the morning, and we build up from there basically. This gives the kids plenty of time to still enjoy what's left of summer. It gives me time for harvest. If you would like more homeschooling tips and tricks, I do have a whole separate channel that I just started specifically for this purpose. I'll link to it in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back for part 2, where we're going to be focusing on the tastes and smells of autumn. Welcome to 5 Ways to Love Autumn for Busy Moms, where we are exploring how to use the 5 senses to help us stop, even if for just a moment or two, and truly take in and savor all of the beauty God has created for us to enjoy this time of year. This is part 2, where we are focusing on the senses of hearing, taste, and smell. In part 1, we focused on the senses of sight and feeling, so be sure to catch that if you missed it. I want to talk about why slowing down and finding a way to appreciate things like autumn or the seasons is important. In this video, we're going to be making some cinnamon rolls by candlelight. I have a delicious pumpkin chai recipe to share with you guys. I've got a little bit of harvest fun. I'll teach you how to make your own pumpkin cinnamon inspired air freshener, and I will share where I find candles, fall inspired candles on the down low. They're super cheap. I want to talk about why slowing down and finding a way to appreciate things like autumn or the seasons is important. We are not machines, but too many of us mamas are trying to run like one. And when you're younger, you can do that for a while, but eventually it catches up with you. They say the 40s are when how well you took care of yourself in the 20s and 30s starts to show. In the previous video, I talked about how to feel better, and one of the ways was to take care of your bodies and take your vitamins, and I shared my supplement routine. Since in this video, one of the things we're focusing on is hearing, I would like to read just a couple more verses from the Word of God to you. And I would just like to encourage all of you women watching, no matter your age, slow down. Let's just slow down for a moment and focus on one thing right now. Let's focus on some deep breathing. Breathe in and breathe out. And I'm going to read some Bible verses to you. Job 12, 7 through 10. But ask the beasts, and they will teach you, the birds of the heavens, and they will teach you, or the bushes of the earth, and they will teach you. And the fish of the sea will declare to you, who among all of these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind. Romans 1:20. For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and the sky. Through everything God has made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, so they have no excuse for not knowing God. Psalms 96, 11, 12. Let heaven celebrate, let the earth rejoice, let the sea and everything in it roar. Let the countryside and everything in it celebrate, when all of the trees of the forest too will shout out joyfully. thing about autumn is that it's so beautiful that it almost demands one stop and observe for a moment. I mean, think about it, red. Red is one of the colors that is on a stop sign. It makes you stop and just notice it, even if it's for a split second. And that's one of the colors that God signatured this season with. It's almost like he's saying, stop, winter's coming. Stop for just a moment and praise me, worship me. Look at what I made for you. For us, the challenge lies in that winter is coming and we do not have very long to get ready. Winters last a long time up here in the north where we live. There's a lot of harvest taking place right now. Food to be prepared, firewood to store away, pantries to fill, and even animal feed to stock up on now that we have our little farm. And plus, for our particular family, we homeschool, so homeschool lessons are in session. Let me stop and smell the roses, so to speak. I've been using the 5 senses technique. The 5 senses trick or technique is where you use the 5 senses to help yourself be in the present, enjoy the present, and diminish anxiety. In this video, we are talking about the senses of taste and smell. But before I do that, I did want to add one more piece to this sight part of this. Mark your calendars, you guys. September 17th, there's going to be a super moon. Hopefully it won't be cloudy where you live, and you can get out there and see it. One of my most favorite ways to get into any different season is with scented candles. I prefer more natural candles. They're really expensive sometimes though, usually. I did find out a way that you can save big money on all natural, 100% natural candles though. So if you are a candle lover like I am and a scented candle lover like I am, stick to the end because I'm going to share at the end what I learned. I found all of these candles at the thrift store for just mere dollars. If you do not like to use candles to scent your spaces and add ambience, you can also use essential oils. By the way, one of my very favorite essential oils for autumn is cardamom. It just really accentuates autumn, I feel like. Candles are absolutely the #1 way I get myself into any seasonal or holiday spirit. For us though, where we live, candles are actually a necessity, so they're kind of dual purpose. They serve a pretty purpose, but also practical. The power goes out quite often where we live. Just a couple weeks ago, we were without power for about 12 hours. It went out a couple hours before dusk, so we actually had to make dinner by candlelight. If you prefer a more natural candle, there are beeswax candles. I got these ones from Azure Standard. They have quite a variety of beeswax candles. Don't forget though, at the end I'm going to share a much more affordable way you can make your own candles that are non-toxic, all natural. You can start small with the oils and then add more if it's not strong enough. That's kind of what I recommend that you do because everybody's sense of smell is a little different. So you might want less essential oils in yours. If it doesn't smell strong enough, you can always add more. I like to start with about 10 drops of each oil and then just add more from there if I need to. Well, friends, it looks like I'm going to be adding more gluten-free recipes to my videos. One of my children was just diagnosed with several food allergies. This isn't the first time this has happened to us. We've been through this before. Thankfully, the allergies are not life-threatening, which is a big relief. Our MD has recommended a low FODMAP diet for the particular child we have with the allergies. So I am not sure yet. I may need to cut back on videos here for a little while I navigate that new change. We'll just have to see. I will make an announcement on the community tab if I do need to cut back temporarily a little bit. I am enjoying some black bean soup here. I will be sharing that recipe on the blog. I talked about it and showed you guys how to make it in the previous video. Speaking of food though, and seeing and tasting fall, here is a little list of some of the recipes we love making this time of year. Chili is probably the #1 top one. I'm not crazy about it. My family is though. Roasts, chicken roasts, beef roasts, Sometimes heating up the oven just for a roast is all you need to heat the house for the day, and it makes it so you don't have to start a fire. Zucchini bread and pumpkin bread, these are things you can make gluten-free. I'm hoping to get that recipe that I have up for you soon, but for now I do have a different recipe that I'm really excited to share with you guys.
This tastes like pumpkin pie in a cup. I am definitely going to be making this again. It was so simple and it's so good.
I'm one of those people, I've never tried pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin coffee, anything like that. I always thought it sounded horrible. This fall though, I decided I'm gonna give it a try. I still haven't done the pumpkin latte. I don't know if I'm brave enough to try that, but I did make a pumpkin spice chai tea. Here I have 2 bags of chai tea. You could probably use any chai tea. And I'm going to let this steep for about 5 minutes. If you let chai tea steep for too long, it kind of gets a strange, I'm not sure how to describe the flavor. Maybe it's like an acrid flavor on the back of your tongue. It's just not very good. So I don't recommend letting your chai tea steep for too long.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause
I like to veer away from sugar as much as I possibly can. So I added about a tablespoon of honey. So I have the 2 tea bags here, about 3 cups of water, and I'm going to add a huge scoop of pumpkin. You can strain all of this once it's steeped together, but you do not have to. My tea bag burst, so I am going to need to strain this, and I do recommend you strain it if your tea bag bursts like mine did. But I thought that I was going to need to strain the pumpkin out. I didn't need to. I ended up making some later with the pumpkin still in, and it was creamy enough and delicious.
I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment.
Running this through the French press did not work at all, so I ended up running it through our pour over coffee pot.
I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
If you like yours extra hot, you can heat up the cream. I didn't because my tea was already pretty hot. You could use half and half for this. You could even use probably milk if you want to. The cream definitely gave it that over the top pumpkin pie flavor though, I think. So good. Highly recommend. Make this, treat yourself. One beautiful fall sight around here are the eggs. Our spring chickens started laying hot and heavy, so we are rolling in the eggs right now, which is such a blessing. It's one of my favorite things about fall on a farm. I want to show you this really quickly. I decided to cave and buy my children a smoothie blender. My older kids love smoothies in the morning, and it helps out with our homeschool morning to kind of expedite the whole breakfast making process since smoothies are fast. Well, one of my kids suggested I look for a retro styled blender since we have a retro refrigerator. I found this one and I thought it was so cute that I wouldn't mind having it left on the counter all the time. After I made this, I realized I should come up with like a pumpkin smoothie. That would be delicious and super duper simple to make. So hey, if you have extra pumpkin left over from making that pumpkin chai spice tea, maybe you try making a pumpkin spice smoothie. The advantage of this over a blender is that this is way faster and way easier to clean, which again can help expedite those busy school mornings.
Oh, the lavender is ready to harvest. And if we don't harvest it, it will stop growing. It won't produce as much. So we need to harvest some of the lavender. And come here, baby. I'm going to show you. So these, if we do little bundles, they'll make really nice gifts. Like little bundles like this.
about that candle discovery I was talking about at the beginning of the video. You guys, this is so silly. I can't believe I never realized this could be done sooner. You can buy beeswax in bulk super affordably on Amazon. You could also buy the wicks. It is very easy to melt the beeswax down, and as it's cooling you can add your essential oils to it to scent it. And what my plan to do is to save all of my jars from candles that I've bought through the years. I have a few already that were just too pretty to get rid of. You can simply use them to refill and make your own beeswax candles. This is it. This is the day we've worked for months now. We have a frost coming tonight. We have to harvest a whole bunch of our vegetables that will not withstand the frost. So this week is going to be a big week. I'm going to be freezing garden vegetables. I'm going to be drying garden vegetables and drying garden herbs. We have onions to harvest. We have cucumbers to harvest, tomatoes to harvest, and we have flowers to harvest, among a few other things I'm probably forgetting. We have to get all of these things pulled today because the frost is coming tonight. These flowers will not withstand the frost. See these marigolds? We want to start feeding these marigolds to the chickens. With all the marigolds, we want to dry them. They'll be food for the chickens for at least a couple months. So we're going to dry these in the cabin. We have the celery to cut. It can be stored in the refrigerator, and we're going to dry a bunch of the celery. All of the basil is going to need to be harvested. We have a nice crop of basil. We're gonna make pesto with it. All of these tomatoes, I shouldn't have planted them here. I should have planted them up higher, but they're not gonna last the frost. They'll be gone. So we have to pull all these tomatoes here and all these tomatoes down that way. And we have to get the tomatoes off the bushes. Actually, we could leave the tomatoes on the bushes and we could hang them in the cabin probably. We just have to find a way to hang them, probably off the ladder in the cabin. We need to pull all the zucchini. We don't have to pull the plants. We just have to pull all the zucchini off the plants. We've got cucumbers here that are overgrowing. Shoot, they got too big. We got to pull all these cucumbers off the plants. There's a little calendula over here we can harvest. We have this fennel here that's ready to be harvested. We're going to dry all of these fronds. We're going to cut the fennel, the bulb, and we'll use it on fish probably. We have kohlrabi here that needs to be harvested. There's more tomatoes over here that need to be, our pepper plants over there all need to be pulled. We're going to take the whole pepper plant, we're going to dry it upside down in the cabin. These, you guys can hear my new goats bellowing. I bought 2 new goats yesterday, 2 boar goats for meat. The sunflowers need to be pulled. The sunflower itself needs to be given to the chickens. We're going to harvest the petals though for salves and lotions. Oh. I've got some black-eyed Susans there. Every time I start to work, a couple kids stop working and they just watch me. I'm supervising right now and making sure everybody stays on task and teaching them how we harvest. So with the peppers, the hot peppers, we're pulling the whole plant and we're gonna hang them upside down to dry. With the green peppers, we're picking them off the plant. They will ripen in a windowsill.
Getting full.
Yeah. Last year our pepper harvest was about 5 times bigger than this. I want everybody to pay attention here. See this tomato, kids?
It's not fully red yet, is it?
No.
This is actually when it's best to pick them. People think that vine ripened completely are best, but it's actually better when you pick them just before they're ripe and let them ripen on your counter, okay? Way to go. A couple months ago, I showed you guys inside the cabin and how beautiful it was and how we got it all fancied up for guests. Well, I'm going to show it to you today. My husband hung this. This was the onion drying rack I showed you in one of the last videos, and he hung this up on the ceiling for me so I could dry my flowers, the herbs, the peppers. Oh, looks like I've got some more red peppers in there. So I'm just letting these turn red here, and I've got, as you can see down over here, the tomatoes. A lot of them are still on the vine. I think they've been on the vine long enough. They've been on the vine for about a week now. So I think we can probably take all the tomatoes off the vine, then get these vines thrown out. Let's see what else. These are not dry. These marigolds are not quite dry, so we're gonna be feeding these to the chickens. It's gonna make their yolks nice. Uh-oh, we still have zucchini in here. I thought all the zucchini was in the house. Onions. We are drying onions on the floor right now because we're just kind of out of space. And then right here, we are doing our first bit of potatoes. Our potato harvest, okay, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. We actually got quite a bit of bugs eating them this year because we forgot to put the diatomaceous earth on. We've got some nice potatoes in here. Some of them are good and big. These are golden Yukon, it looks like, and then we've got some red Pontiacs. We had problems with the moles this year. We also got some potato scab. We had none of that last year. And there are also some, it looks like some cutworms or bugs got to them. That would not have happened had we got the diatomaceous earth on them soon enough. These also would be a lot bigger had we fertilized them sooner. We didn't fertilize them when we should have. They also did not get enough water this year.
There can't be no light if darkness don't exist. He never left my side. He showed me the way out of all the storms raging at the sea. He gave me back my life. I owe him everything.
Well, you're looking good and plump again. Oh,
Rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord, forever and always. I rejoice,
hello, Lisby.
rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord, always. He carried me to shore, held me through the pain. He loved me at my worst. I thank him every day. I will put him first, 'cause he did that for me. He sacrificed himself so I could find my peace. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord, forever and always. I rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord, always. Put joy to his name every single day, 'cause he never left our sight. He showed us the way. Rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord,
I saw the flashes in the dark, colors on the wall, bright against the monochrome, where I felt so small. I drew the curtains up, pulled away blinds, heard a rushing wind through the windows of my mind, and I began to glow with a love divine. Shine, 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 shine in the naked light of Adonai. Shine, 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 shine in the golden gaze of the mighty eye. Oh, when I was a boy, rolled up like a cigarette, the jacket didn't fit quite yet, the leather made me sweat. Over time I shook it off, turned to face the breeze. I learned to see it all at once, God in the little things. Shine, 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 shine in the naked light of Adonai. Shine, 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 shine in the golden gaze of the mighty eye. There's a darkness in the mind, it clouds like smoke, it lingers in the corners, it slides like a ghost. There comes a light from behind, beaming up from the unknown, dancing with my shadows, illuminating everything. I can see the glow from a love divine. Shine, 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 shine in the naked light of Adonai. Don't, shine, 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 shine in the golden gaze of the mighty eye. Shine, 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 shine in the naked light of Adonai. Shine, 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 shine in the golden gaze of the mighty eye.
In this scene, I'm making a roasted sheet pan vegetable lunch for my kids. This ended up being so good. It's taken me quite a few trial and errors to learn how to create the perfect roasted sheet pan vegetables, but I believe that I have finally figured out how to do it. There are a couple tricks. One of the first tricks is if you're using potatoes in your roasted sheet pan vegetables, you want to boil them first. Whenever you roast potatoes, they taste so much better if you boil them, even just for about 10 minutes. They can tend to get dried out in the oven if you just put them straight into the oven. But if you boil them for at least 10 minutes, depending on the size, if they're super diced, 10 minutes would be too long. You want to boil them just until they're barely fork tender. You do not want to cook them all the way through, otherwise you'll end up with mashed potatoes when you roast them. But if you boil them until they're just fork tender, then roast them, they are just perfect. They stay just right on the inside, and the outside gets a nice little tender crisp. For roasted sheet pan vegetables, use what you have. Right now I have an abundance of zucchini, tomatoes, onions, garlic, and potatoes. If you want something that is really good to add to these, if you wanted to make it a full-on meal, is you can add sausage, like andouille sausages that are chunked up, or kielbasa sausage. I love leaving our garlic cloves whole for this because we are absolute garlic lovers. We love whole pieces of garlic. One of the nice things about this though is if there's people that don't like the garlic or anything on the dish, actually you can easily pick through this and pick out what you like and leave what you don't like. If I'm putting larger tomatoes on here, I will cut them in half, but with the cherry tomatoes, just leave them whole. A good quality olive oil is one of the secrets to a perfect roasted sheet pan vegetable. My potatoes have been boiling for about 10 minutes and they are just perfect. You can see they're not starting to fall apart or anything, they're still firm. A little tip: you can put a garlic clove in with the boiling water to infuse the potatoes with garlic. And another tip is to be sure to salt your water when you are boiling the potatoes. If you want a nice crisp on these vegetables, you need to put quite a bit of oil on them. And here's my next tip. You want to season these liberally. The seasonings are one thing that I notice most recipes go way too light on. I like to quadruple the seasonings on mine. So I have got a lot of rosemary on here. There are so many different flavor combinations you can do though. One of my favorite is minced onion and dill with marjoram. That is my all-time absolute favorite. If you want to add some acid to these, that is wonderful too. You can add some balsamic vinegar. You can add a little bit of lemon juice, and you would do that before you add the olive oil. A crucial step in these is to roast them at a high enough temperature. So this oven is preheated to 450 degrees. It's a good idea to stir this a couple times during baking. I want to talk about another seasoning combination that we love. Sometimes we love to add olives and chili seasoning and paprika to this with a little bit of lime juice to sharpen. That's another one of our top favorite seasonings on roasted sheet pan vegetables. It is time for me to tackle all of this celery that we harvested from the garden. This is the best celery crop that I have grown yet. Fresh celery from the garden doesn't taste the same as the stuff in the store. It seems like when you get it from the store, it's older and quite a few of the flavor notes are just evaporated or gone. With this fresh garden produce, it's different. The flavors are more complex. They're richer, there are more flavor notes. So I like to grow celery because I am notorious for buying celery and not using it all. I'll use a couple stalks for the recipe or the mirepoix, and then the rest goes to waste. So I have learned to grow my own celery and dehydrate it. I even dehydrate the leaves. The leaves are wonderful when you're making chicken broth or beef broth. And then the celery is of course good in soups. So I have got an abundance of celery here and I am just tickled about this. I love to dehydrate this and use it all winter long. And since it's dehydrated, it's not gonna go bad on me. I'm gonna try to find either last year or the year before's video where I made celery salt with the leaves. I will put it in the cards and I'll try to remember to put it in the description below. Making celery salt with the leaves was definitely a good move. It was so good. You guys, I have a big announcement. I've been working double time lately on all kinds of big projects and a couple of them are ready. I've rolled them out. Friends, I am per subscriber request now on Patreon, and I'm really excited to tell you that I am starting to roll out courses over there. You can find me there as Mountain Mama's Home. I've got a sourdough video over there, a chicken processing video, and just recently I rolled out a course or a class on beginner water bath canning basics. Over there is where I'm going to start putting videos and classes that I don't think would do that well here, but that I know quite a few of you still would like to have. I will link in the description below and probably as a pinned comment as well, where you can find more information on those courses and classes. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and we will see you next time.
I was birthed